So being that y'all are in relationship and doing business, for those people that are following the same path or thinking of following the same path, I don't want to say the do's and don'ts, but what do you feel like are the positives and what do you feel like are the challenges? I'm not going to say the negatives.
Okay. I would say that let's start with the do's. I would say you have to communicate and you have to have at least one day a week where we sit down and we kind of talk about business over dinner, because you kind of find yourself talking and passing, like I'm in the kitchen cooking or, he's doing something. I'm like, oh, I need to tell you such and such, but we have to really sit down and take time, say, okay, this is our 2-hour block. We're going to talk strictly about business. So that's what we do.
So even though you got to you got to hear your significant other out, because although I've been in business a lot of years, she really has taught me some things, that I wouldn't even thought of.
Oh, he claiming it now. Okay.
Anyway, so, I'm definitely claiming it. She softened me up where I ain't so harsh with some of my clients now, and that works a little better. Just be open to new things more than anything.
Relationships matter. I need you to understand. Relationships matter.
Welcome to Relationships Matter. I'm Chanel Scott.
And I am Josh Powell.
And we have an amazing show for you guys. But before we get into it, we want you to go ahead and like, subscribe, and share to our YouTube channel at Relationships Matter Live. All right, so Mr. Doug and Atiya Parson.
Yes.
Dr. Atiya.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you guys are authors of Bricks and Blondie. We nailed it.
Yes.
Yes, and you guys are married for how many years?
25.
25 years.
Yes.
You're business partners.
Yes.
Okay, this is the second time we have gotten this today.
I know.
So that is amazing. So
He got another fun fact for you, though.
What is it?
The fun fact is,
About
I known Josh since he was a youngster.
Really?
So it's funny when I looked up the show and everything. I know this guy since he was playing basketball in high school. I know his aunts and uncles, and so I seen him go to college, and I was like, wow. He used to come back, and I seen him in the pros. It was like amazing. Then I seen him win a ring. Now that was.
And now we're here.
Congrats.
Yeah, 2 rings.
Yeah, 2 rings? You got 2 of them? Okay. He's that guy. So I just appreciate being able to sit with you guys today. It's amazing to be here. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're going to get all in your business.
Okay.
But first, talk to us about the book.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, the first book I actually did was called The Art of Flipping Bricks. I showed a lot of people how they could get, a lot of money and help out their family and legacies and all of this. But we've been together so long, like 29 years, been married for 25 years now. We saw a void. Like, we just saw one person in the real estate and getting all the money, and then their wife or their spouse or their significant other, it was kind of like they was kind of dragging in the back. And we just felt like it would help relationships if you get money together in business. So we sat down and we thought and seen how we could correlate it with real estate and the relationships. And hence we came up with, we nailed it,
So
the blueprint.
Who was relationship and who was real estate?
So really both, because we're both real estate. So I was kind of like, he likes to say his assistant for years.
She was my assistant.
Assisting him, and he kept saying, you need to get your license. You're around all those people all the time, the teachers and stuff when I was in the classroom. So I was like, no, that's not my thing. That's not my passion, right? So then I was like, okay, he kept asking me. So I'm like, are you going to pay for it? He's like, that little $500 class?
Yeah, she was like, are you going to pay this $500?
Right. I was trying to say anything like to get out of it. So then I went ahead and took it. I did the 2-week cram course. Why I did that, I do not know. It was way too much. So then once I passed, now he's like, okay, do you want to be business partners? I'm like, boy, I was already in this partnership, So that's now we both. So I'm still in the education world, but I do education and real estate. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I had to pull her in. Like, I tried to pull her in for years because I always felt like, I dealt with a ton of great people, but it was a certain group of people that I couldn't reach that she could reach just because it's a woman and how she looks, and some people they might choose a
Right.
woman or anything like that. So I always knew she could do well, and
He's
she was
using me.
Yeah, I'm a user, but not an abuser. So I led her to a whole new bag, to be honest, and like she's enjoying it, and I love working with her. You know, I really found out I could work with her and do business with her during COVID.
90% of the time.
Yeah, 90%
The
of the time.
10%, he works it. Because it's like because he thinks because he's been in it for so long that when I try to come with my ideas and I'm like, no, I feel like we should do it like this. He's like, well, you know, I've been doing it for 20-something, blah, blah, blah years.
doesn't.
I'm
I
like,
have to
hold on
remind
a
her
second.
just a little bit sometimes.
Right.
So being that y'all are in relationship and doing business, for those people that are following the same path or thinking of following the same path, I don't want to say the do's and don'ts, but what do you feel like are the positives and what do you feel like are the challenges? I'm not going to say the negatives.
Okay. I would say that let's start with the do's. I would say you have to communicate and you have to have at least one day a week where we sit down and we kind of talk about business over dinner, because you kind of find yourself talking in passing, you know, like I'm in the kitchen cooking or, you know, he's doing something. I'm like, oh, I need to tell you such and such, but we have to really sit down and take time, say, okay, this is our 2-hour block. We're going to talk strictly about business. So that's what we do. And then another thing is, like, I might get mad at him in the past, like, I'm the queen of silent treatment. So it's like, you done pissed me off. Okay, it's going to be some days and I'm not saying nothing to you. But it's like, I can't do that now because, like, wonder if I was mad at him before coming here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You would feel that energy. So that's really helped in the sense that, you know, just let's talk about it so that we can get past it. And then what would you say would be some of the down?
One of the don'ts is that you wouldn't want to do is, like, say, for instance, like she was saying, I've been in the business since 99, really before, and she been in the business for about 4 years.
Right.
So even though, you got to you got to hear your significant other out, you know, because although I've been in business a lot of years, like she really has taught me some things, you know, that I wouldn't even thought of.
Oh, he claiming it now. Okay.
Anyway, so, you know, I'm definitely claiming it. She softened me up where I ain't so harsh with some of my clients now, and that works a little better because I'm the one, if things ain't going right and people dragging their feet, I really get kind of harsh.
Yeah, because I might be like, who was you just talking on the phone with? And he's like a client. I'm like, that was out of order.
Hey, but sometimes you got to be hard on your clients, you know, if you want them to get those deals. So that's one thing I would say don't do. And just be open to new things more than anything when y'all do business together.
Do you feel like sometimes, like, because you know there's like the saying, especially from people who don't spend as much time together. Because y'all are clearly at the crib and then you're also in the field doing what you're doing. Like, how do you find that balance? Because some people feel like it's too much.
Right.
I'm just going to speak for that group because they out there. Like, I got to, you know, you got to do you and I got to do me, but y'all, just even your spirits right now, the fact that y'all spend as much time, what's the secret sauce within that?
I mean, honestly, I enjoy being with him. Sometimes I look around and I'm like, dang, I don't have no friends. I'm always doing everything with Doug. But it's like, I really enjoy being with him. You know what I'm saying? So I think you really have to find that person that you enjoy being with. But he's the type of person, he'll go over his friend's house, you know, chill with his friends and stuff like that. So that's his away time. And then while he's gone, I'm in the house by myself, being able to do, you know, my own thing. So we enjoy being together, but at the same time, we have that balance of getting, you know, with our friends or family separately and doing things.
Yeah, and it works great because even though we are around each other, like she said, like I go over to any of I got a couple close friends and I will go over their house, like, you know, for hours. And come back, or we'll go do stuff. But like, you definitely had to have your time apart. We don't have that much time apart, but you know, you can't do every single thing together. Like, you know, and even when we go home to Indianapolis, I got tons of friends, you know, and I'm like, babe, you know, like, just drop me off and go see her. And she's always like, well, I really don't know where to go. And I really don't have
I even go
It's
home
like,
and
do
I'm
you want
like,
me to tell you who your friends are so you can go see them?
I know. I go home
be
and I'm
around
like,
me.
where are all my friends?
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
It ain't. I love to be around her.
But I'm like in a different space in my life now. And some of the people that I went to high school with and stuff, like, I don't really like the agenda they're on. So it's like, why am I going to be around that? You know, so then he's with his voice, and then I don't know, I'm like, dang, do I not see anybody I know everywhere we go at home? They're like, hey, Doug. I'm like, dang, does anybody see me?
Yeah.
Where's all the people that know me? It's crazy.
Right. Well, I was big time where I'm from,
Yeah.
and that's
Listen,
why.
Right.
Doug,
See, he was in them streets, so, you
Yeah, I
know.
was.
Well, Doug, talk to me. I heard you on another podcast talk about making money and the importance of that with your partner. Talk
Right.
more about that.
I would definitely say, and I was thinking about this actually today. It's funny you asked that. You know, when it's one person in a relationship that's making all the money, and then you got another one that isn't really making the money, even though y'all love each other and he got all the money and you don't. So that person is not getting to it. They still might at times feel a certain type of way. It might be just a little something you say or a little something you do. And like, I wouldn't want my significant other, I wouldn't want my wife feeling no type of way. So when I start thinking about getting to the money, I'd be like, okay, like I want to get this money, but like I want my wife to be getting money too. You see what I'm saying? So you got to kind of want it for them too, because I definitely put her in positions to make
Right.
money in real estate.
How important is it to have similar goals and similar purpose?
I think it's very important, but then I think it's also important because I'll never forget, I worked at a daycare one time. This was when we lived in Kentucky, and it was this little boy. I worked in like the 2-year-old room, and he came in one time and was like crying and crying. I was like, what's going on? And his mom was still there, and she was like, well, my husband and I are getting a divorce. Now, mind you, we moved here in 2000. So this was like 25, 26 years ago. And she said, my husband and I grew apart. And so she said, we just started not having things in common. So that literally like stuck with me. And so I always said there might be some things that Doug likes to do, but I really don't like to do, but I might do it anyway because we're going to have things that aren't in common, but it's important to find those things that you still kind of cross over. Like he's going to do, like he's not really into horseback riding. I love horseback riding, but he'll go with me. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. I'll do things that he wants to do, you know, so that's important.
And I'll give you these kudos. Over the years, she's let me just be who I am. So I think that's big in relationships. You know what I'm saying? Just something small. Like some men like to smoke cigars, right? But their wife don't like to smell, might not want you, health reasons or whatnot, you know, and she used to be like, and I'd be like, just let me live a little bit. Like it's stuff in the food, it's stuff in everything. But it's like, she just let me live. Like, okay, now I know you like cigars. Let me pick you up this pack you like. You see what I'm saying? And it's just like, that's how I feel about that. Like, so I appreciate it, babe.
Well, you still need to watch some cigars. So,
but your mate need to let you live.
Yes.
For real.
Yes.
Like, it feels great when you ain't got to worry about your mate just on you constantly.
Right.
Because that will wear you down.
So, and I think a lot of that comes with maturity because, like, we met when we were 21. So you got to think about the 21-year-old to, like, I'm 50 now. So I'm not the same person I was, and he's not the same person he was. So you're going to grow together, but then you're also going to grow and you're going to become a different person. So you have to introduce that new person to him, you know? So I'm constantly having conversations with him. Like, are you good? Like, is there anything like you want me to work on? And, you know, and if he doesn't say that to me, but I'll tell him, look, I need you to work on this, and this.
I don't say that to you?
What?
Stuff you need to work on?
Well, I'm not talking about bad stuff because he says he thinks that I'm never wrong, and that's not true. That's what he says. So that he'll say that all the time.
He says that you're never
She
wrong.
feels like she's
and
never
that's
wrong.
not true. But for some reason, that's the perception that he has. He thinks that I feel like I'm never wrong, and that's not true.
Perception is everything.
Well, that's your perception, babe.
Hey.
Look at that. That was the most loving disagreement.
Yeah.
So I have a question from the standpoint of people of success and in a lot of situations, if somebody's a breadwinner, typically, man or the woman, but some people use that as a form of control.
They do.
Right? So what made you be like, man, let me make sure that my wife is good and that I'm pushing and doing, you know what I'm saying?
I'm going to tell you why. Because, and sometimes I get emotional a little bit sometimes, but like, you know, throughout our time being together, it was times where I didn't have it. You know what I'm saying? And even when I didn't have it, she had my back. I really didn't have to literally go ask her, babe, I need, you know what I'm saying? Like, say for instance, I remember like some times way back when it was like, damn, am I gonna put some gas in the car, or am I gonna do something else? Like, or I'm gonna pay this bill or different stuff. And you know, like, dang, I can't get my hair cut because I gotta pay this bill. You know, I gotta do this. And you know, sometimes I would get in my car and she heard me say that, and like she might have $100 bill on my steering wheel, you know, or $50 bill on my steering wheel. And just over the years, like even when it's been times where she always was doing good and she would be like, babe, I'm getting such and such on my tax returns. I'm gonna give you $3,000, or I'm gonna give you whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's why now, like that, I am doing good, and I want to bless her with all these things. Like, and she's like, oh, you know, yes, I do. Like, I would give you the world if I had it. So that's why I do so much for her, because when it was like when I had down times, she was there. Period. You know, and a lot of women ain't. Especially not a lot of beautiful women, they really be out.
And that didn't bring about any level of insecurity in you when she had to step up and...
You know what? Honestly, no. Because we had been together so much. So it was like when we first met, like I had a lot of money, you know, and when I decided to change my life, like it kind of was like, yeah, you run through hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then it's reality hit, you know what I'm saying? And then you got to get yourself, you know, back together, you know, and she was with me through all them times. I remember when I first came out of the streets, like in 96, it was funny, like, so after I ran through all the money, I went and got a temp job, right? And at the time, back then, I had like a 500 Benz, that's Lorenzo's 20-inch, all this stuff, right? And I'm pulling up to this temp job in this car, and it's like...
And they're like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing working here?
Yeah, it's crazy. So I've been through the ups and downs with her, the good and the bad, and now, like, you know, we made it to a plateau where it's just a great thing. So I never felt no type of way when she was looking out for me, because I always had a lot, or maybe I didn't have a lot. So it was like I never was this broke guy.
And I was always encouraging. Like, I never was like, even when he started real estate, I never was like, when it was rocky in the beginning, you know, that was 20-something years ago. I could have been like, you need to go somewhere, Walmart somewhere. And like I never said that. I'm like, you can do it, you know, and thank goodness I was in education. So I, you know, that's constant steady checks. So I always had my checks. So I was like, we'll make it work. Like, our boys were in football, and he's like, how are we going to go to this camp this summer? Trust me, we're going to make it work. I had a griddle. This was years ago. I had a griddle in the hotel making us some quesadillas, because we going to make this work, because I don't want the boys to know that they can't go to this football camp. So you make it happen.
Right. Yeah, she's a trooper.
No, I love that, man.
Yeah.
Salute.
More with the Parsons when we get back. Relationships matter.
Relationships matter.
Welcome back, RM family. We are here with the Parsons. So look, we got this book. Make sure y'all go get it. What platforms?
Amazon, Target, Walmart, Books A Million, Barnes and Nobles, where all books are sold.
Quick plug.
Blessed to be in Target.
Quick plug.
Bless.
That's amazing.
Quick plug. So I'm going to read something, and I would like to get both of you all's what it makes you feel initially, even though I know you wrote the book.
Right.
All right. So y'all ready?
Yes.
Your home would not last long if the gutters didn't drain water away from its foundation. And if the ground wasn't pitched properly, water would pool around your home and destroy the foundation over time. We recognized early in our marriage that stability in our relationship was important. I couldn't expect that anything else about our relationship would go well if I built our marriage on unstable ground. The soil that was under our foundation had to be right so we could start building our life together.
Yes.
Nothing like a shaky foundation.
Nothing.
Yes, prime example. So I'm going to give you in the literal sense. There's homes that we've gone in because we do a lot of flipping. So the floors, you're going to know if the floors are uneven, because when you walk, you can tell, and that's the foundation problem. So in the renovation, you literally have to have them lay more concrete to level it out, right? So it's the same thing with the relationship. So if that concrete isn't leveled, and I go ahead and start building that relationship, I'm gonna have to tear the whole house down. I'm gonna have to tear our whole relationship apart, get to some counseling, do something to try to level that relationship out. So that's what it makes me think about. Starting with the foundation. When that foundation is laid out properly, you can grow. Hit it.
Hit it. And for me, that means like even when you talk about the gutters, you got to make sure that the gutters aren't filled up. For lack of better words, I just say in the gutters, you know, you get a lot of leaves and gunk and all this stuff. Well, I consider that like when you get personable, like haters and people saying stuff and people that don't got positive things to say. You got to keep that out of the gutters, because if you let it just keep building up, what it do is start eating away at your foundation, right? And then you got erosion problems, right? So that's kind of like just keeping bad stuff out of your system that flows stuff out, you know? So, and even with a roof, and we can talk about roofs on a house. Like if you don't build the right roof on your house, if you don't build a sturdy roof, then guess what? All the rain and all the cold and snow and all the outside elements is gonna get in. So you got to build a strong foundation, a strong roof. You got to make sure that you keep all the haters and all the bad things out of the gutters. We can keep going on, you know, and you got to maintain it too.
What is y'all's foundation built off of?
I would say friendship.
Yeah.
Like we were friends first. And it's funny because we look back and when I met him, I never was like, this is even
Me
months
neither.
in, I never was like, this is going to be my husband.
Me neither.
And then he had the nerve to say I didn't think you was going to be my wife. I'm like, really? You said that?
I didn't.
But yeah, he said that. But we were like friends. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Here he is, this guy in the streets, like literally. When I first
And
met
she's
him,
in school.
we went to a comedy show. He gave me like a wad of money. Like he's like, you know, go buy something. And I went, and bought. Right, I went and bought something, and then brought him the rest back. You know what I'm saying? So here's this guy in the streets, and I'm this schoolgirl studying, you know, on the floor in his house, you know, doing. So a lot of our relationship is funny. It's like I was in school, you know, so I was constantly growing because I'm a natural learner. So I think our foundation with that friendship and just knowing that, like he said before, just kind of let him be who he is. You got to accept people for who they are. Because someone asked me one time, they said, well, how did you feel about that? Like you were this girl that was in school and you were talking to someone. I don't think I really thought literally of what he was doing. Like you're really like selling drugs in the community. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a fixer and I'm a problem solver. I kind of looked at it when he said he wanted to change his life. I'm going to help you solve this problem. So when he would say, I'm going to go back to Indianapolis when we were in Kentucky, this was after we left. I would call his mom like, he's trying to come back. You don't go back. And then I would even say, you can go back. I'm going to stay here to try to convince him to stay. You know, he never went back. And he would say, you know, I'm grown. Why are you calling my mom? But I mean, it worked. But I was like, any means necessary, because it was that friendship. Like I wanted him to succeed, you know.
How did you know that he was your person?
Hold on, I'm going to say this.
Hold on, it's for me. How you going to talk for me?
Go ahead, Blondie. Go ahead.
You know what? I think I figured out he was my person because for some reason, when I'm the person that's always sick for some reason, either I'm sick or just something. And when I say he's like a nurse, like he takes such good care of me.
Nurse.
Yeah. Nurses can be males. Yeah. So he takes really good care of me. So I think I knew he was my person when I didn't have anyone else around me, because like my mom had moved to the Virgin Islands. I really didn't have anyone. You know what I'm saying? And when he said he was going to Kentucky, I didn't even think twice. I was like, well, you're not leaving me. In hindsight, I'm like, I can't believe I said that.
I couldn't believe it either.
But at that split moment, we had been together like a year and a half. It was just me and him. So we were able to like grow together. And I was like, you know what? This is my person. Now, don't get me wrong. We've had our ups and downs. We've had our times where I'm like, I'm about to call an attorney. Let me find a number. You know what I'm saying?
She never called. She never called.
You saw that card though one time and about flipped the script. So, I mean, there's been times when you look back on the good times, you know what I'm saying? And this is something weird, and it's like an outer body experience. But we lost my stepson, Doug's son, some years ago, and we had some rocky times before that. And then when Dejan died, I said, you know what, God, this was the bigger picture. It really, sometimes I felt like it wasn't about me. It was about me saving him. So even though there were times when I was like, I'm leaving this relationship, something grounded me and was like, I need to stay with him to save him, to continue to help him to grow, you know? So I can't really describe it, and I'm getting chills right now talking about it. But you know how sometimes people say, God used me? That I literally feel like throughout our relationship, God has used me, because Doug is a completely different person from how he was when I first met him, you know?
Yeah, thank you, babe.
You're welcome, babe.
Thank you for believing in me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So to pivot a little bit, and I know you talked about being in the streets and all of those things. What was your like coming to Jesus moment that I need to stop?
When I came to the house and I was like, babe, I'm ready to change my life. Like, I'm ready to stop selling drugs. I'm ready to stop doing everything I'm doing. And it was one night, and like it happened to be like it was a serious situation. It was a robbery, right? So it was a huge robbery, and it was for drugs and hundreds of thousands of dollars and stuff like that. And I wasn't supposed to be there. I just rode with somebody, you know what I'm saying, that was going to take care. Hey, come ride with me for a minute, right? So anyway, when it happened, all like these guys that was doing this, like they were kind of like big brothers and uncles to me that was doing this to this guy I rode with. And they was like, Doug, you know, little Doug, you ain't even supposed to be here, right? And I'm like, right, I ain't supposed to be here, you know? And anyway, so they took him somewhere. They got all this money and all the drugs and different stuff, and I just stayed where I was, you know what I'm saying? And then when it was all over with, and like I never been shot, never been beat up or none of that, right? They just like, you're not supposed to be here. So anyway, when they let us go, I was like, you know what? Even though they didn't do nothing to me, how I was built was like, I'm either gonna have to kill you, you're gonna kill me, right? So that means I'm gonna go to prison or I'm gonna be dead. And these guys, like, honestly, and I'm being candid, these is guys that I've seen kill people and go to their funerals, like in real life.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So it was like, you know what? I don't even want this war. I don't even want to go through this. So, babe, I'm leaving, and I'm Gary leave because I ain't, you know. So, and that's when she was like, well, you're not leaving me. So it was like I went to visit my parents, told them my situation. I called an auntie I had, which begged me to get out of selling drugs for years and years and years. And she was like, shoot, just come down here. So we was there.
How hard was the transition?
It was hard. It was hard. So I wasn't a regular dealer, like, you know, like I had like in the Midwest, and this is in the 90s, I had like, you know, the guys that's hustling now, they go to the West Coast, and I was doing that in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? So for me to be going from all these hundreds of thousands of dollars to now waking up and looking in the mirror like, oh, I got to go to this temp after I ran through the money. I got to go to this temp service, or I got to go here. And it was like, I just used to look in the mirror like, I can't believe this. Like, I can't believe like that I'm going to these jobs. And then like, when you at that level, it's like people treat you a certain way, right? So I had to come all the way down. So now guys that was making back then $10 an hour, $15 an hour was kind of like telling me like, do this, do that, do this, do that. And I felt like, you know what I'm saying? So it was rough, man. It was rough.
Yeah.
I was used to a lot of stuff.
Is a part of that like what also intrigued you? Did you fall in love with that part of him as well?
Which part?
Because of the power. Like, you know, clearly y'all had your friendship, you had all of these things, but sometimes in other situations, you know what I'm saying, aside from money, like a woman will look and they be like, he got that aura. Like, he got
You
that
know
money.
what? I'm gonna be honest. I threw his number. Before him, I had talked to several guys like in the streets. That's kind of like the thing. Like, if you look like me in the 90s in Indianapolis, it's gonna be some dope boys coming at you. That's just how it was. So I threw his number away because I was like, you know what? It's too much that comes with that. Multiple women, this is and that. I was like, and mind you, I was in college all this time. And I'm like, So when I met him, I threw his number away because I was like, I could already tell he was in the streets. So it wasn't to me, like I wasn't attracted to the power thing or, you know, him selling drugs, anything like that. And he literally stalked me for 30 days, he said.
Not stalked.
And found me.
Pursued. I pursued
No, he
her.
stalked me, y'all.
Pursued.
No, for real. For 30 days, I didn't even know he was following me around Indianapolis.
I gave her my number. She said she threw it away. I would see her like around the city, like at the stoplight or at different places. But by the time I get over there, she would be gone.
Yeah.
Right? So then one time she had 2 or 3 jobs back then.
I did.
Caught her at the mall, hood up, car broke down, and here I come.
Yeah, he's like, I got you now.
Yeah, and that's kind of like where it started at. I gave her my number then. Yeah.
So you said that you didn't know that she was going to be your wife. At what point did you say, this is my wife?
Right.
I'll say this.
Let's hear this.
When I first really decided like, I'm really going to start, we was dating, but really start getting into her. I remember, I think I got sick.
Yeah.
I got a little sick, and I was like, dang, babe, like, I'm sick. Come take me to the doctor or whatever. And I think she must have left the job and came and took me. And I was like, I might can be with her. And that's kind of like when it kind of like started. But as far as marriage, I don't know. I think once I started doing real good after I lost all my money and went down, and then when I like came back up and started doing good, I was like, okay, now.
Because it was 4 years then, we had been together 4 years. So.
Was it 4 years? Yeah, so it was time. When I got back on my feet, I was like, yeah, let me go and lock this in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does a successful relationship look like to you both?
Forgiveness, one thing, communication.
I would say support, communication, understanding. I wouldn't say necessarily forgiveness.
I would say forgiveness and grace. Like I'm talking for men now, right? Not even for women.
Lord, here we go
with
this grace.
Women need to understand respectfully that, like when she got with me, we got together, how old was I?
21.
Right, like they got to give, I believe they, she side-eyed me already.
Look at
she
Chanel.
Side-eyed me. What you gonna say?
Chanel.
So I'm saying, when you start with somebody that young, I believe that women, like, respectfully, they got to give you a little grace. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we young.
That's what he's saying.
But on a certain level, I don't expect you to give us grace on some crazy things, but some little things. If you just give this guy some grace, it might turn out to be some great thing. Like, I appreciate all my grace. You know,
so he's talking.
What's an example?
An example of grace.
Let me say it.
He asked me. Remember, he said
he asked, but he was looking at me because he knows I'm gonna be the one that's gonna spill it. It's the whole social media and the not having boundaries with these inappropriate comments in the DMs. So it's I want you to mentor me. And then it kind of goes like these women are slick now. Like, I want you to mentor me, or they'll, just say something slick to where, for me, the boundary is, you're married. To me, this looks inappropriate. It doesn't make me feel comfortable. So immediately you need to shut that down, because how would you feel if a guy was in my DM saying some stuff and I didn't shut him down? Because when guys get in my DM, I don't even respond. Or if they keep saying something slick, I'm like, I'm married. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I expect you to have boundaries and shut it down, because these women out here are slick. And then if you want some mentoring, hello, if you're a female right here, I'm going to be the one doing the mentoring. We not playing that game.
Miss Mentor.
That's right.
Hey.
You know what's interesting is that even at your age, that's still something that can still affect a relationship.
It can.
Oh man, it can.
I know, it's crazy.
But most people don't think, like, they think the social media piece comes into play at teenage, 20s, maybe 30s.
Right.
But it's still, for everybody, the comfort level, clear communication, all of those start wow. So
important.
I appreciate y'all for sharing that. Yeah. More with the Parsons, man. They've been blessing us with this beautiful conversation. When we get back, relationships matter.
Welcome back to Relationships Matter.
Yes.
So Doug and Atiya. So we have a Relationships Matter card game edition, and we like to ask all our guests one question from the game. So I have your question.
Okay.
Okay, it says, how can we effectively communicate and set boundaries when dealing with the resurfacing of past pain and trauma to ensure we both feel safe and supported?
Can I say?
Got the bankhead bouncing on that thing.
I would say, to me, if I'm answering correctly, it's like, I just feel like whenever something like that is, you put yourself in the other person's shoes.
That's good.
That's something that, like she said, like, how would you feel if this person was in my DM and yada, yada, yada? Like, and that's how I've kind of learned really to understand her. Okay, let me turn around and step in her shoes and see how that feel. Like, and if a lot of people would do that, they would get it like, oh, this how I feel. So that's my take on it.
Right. And I think so. We have a counselor that we go to.
Miss Candy.
Miss Candy. So being proactive. So like if there's things that we think are going to come up, situations, we'll go ahead and make an appointment. So it's not just, okay, this happened, we need to go to the counselor. No, sometimes we try to be proactive. So that's very good. And one of the things that she taught me, like when I'm feeling...
She taught her she not always right.
I never said I was always right. So
I love Miss Candy.
One of the things she taught me is that we are going to, as women, have triggers when things happen. And so one of the things she taught me is that you put a rubber band on your wrist. And when you think about those things that are triggering and those, you just kind of pop yourself into reality. And then she also had me one time like make a list. So on one side was the old Doug, on the other side was the new Doug. And to remind myself that I'm not married to the old Doug, how he was in the past. Like he's not that person on the left side of my paper anymore. Because sometimes we do need reminders, because if I constantly have him live in the past and things that, he went through, we wouldn't be able to proceed with our relationship, you know?
Yeah.
What are some of those things that make you look at him like the old Doug?
The old Doug, tone.
Yeah.
Like I'm a very sensitive person. So, I'm an alpha female, but I'm also sensitive in the way that people talk to me, especially men, because growing up, my mom was in a very abusive relationship. So men yelling is a trigger for me. So if we're even like a heated conversation and his voice goes up, I'm like, that tone, like I will shut all the way down. And then like when our boys were younger, and even though like they're grown now, they're both still at home, they're in their 20s, but I don't want them to hear that, because I never wanted them to hear us argue. Not that I want them to think it's happy all the time, but I want them to think like we're happy and love each other, because growing up, I didn't really see that, so those are that tone. And then that, the escalated voice is a definite trigger for me.
Anything for you?
And then he'll say, we're just having a conversation. I'm not yelling my voice. I'm like, hold on a second. Your voice seemed like it got a little escalated, though. You sound louder than,
Okay, babe.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of yelling, that's for sure, so.
Yeah. No, he doesn't. But it's the tone. Sometimes I have to say, remember, it's not the street Doug. You're not in the streets anymore. So I'll be like, tone, watch the tone.
Okay, babe.
How many kids do you have?
We have 2 biological together, and then 3 stepsons. And then one of my stepsons was killed.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
How was that like? Y'all have 2 boys together.
2 boys together.
So for you growing up the way that you grew up, how was that as a father, like trying to make sure that it stopped with you?
As far as my sons being in the streets?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was major for me.
Because that's something that I see like in a lot of our families.
Right.
It's just a continuous cycle. Even if some people say like, yeah, I'm gonna stop it with me, and then it's like somehow, some way, once the boys find out, they just start leaning. So for you, like, you know what I mean? Like,
it was crazy. And then like a couple of my sons, they did try to go the wrong way, but it was like I had already been through it. So if I just see a little sign that they doing this,
not
or doing
the
that,
ones in the house, not the 2 in the house with us.
I'm talking about I got 5 sons altogether. One has passed away, 2 by my wife, right? My 2 youngest. But I actually started having children when I was 15.
15, y'all.
So I had my first son at 15, and then 3 years thereafter.
Right.
Every 3 years,
Yeah,
I would
they're
have
all
one.
3 years apart. It's
Right.
that.
It's
Something.
crazy, but
You was that guy.
at 15. So, like, I
I'm
mean,
like,
I've been
I
through a
wasn't
lot.
even thinking about the dude at 15.
And I look at my
I'm like, he had a
sons.
child at 15.
Yeah, so I look at my sons
Yes.
when they was 15 and like, dang, like, how did you have a son like
Right.
at that age? But going back to what you said.
Right. I think one thing I can say is that I kind of chose the field of education because I knew I couldn't be a stay-at-home mom because remember, he was a new realtor. So I had to go. So literally, elementary school, I worked at the same school with Drazen and Diallo. Middle school, I didn't. High school, I did. So that was my way of, I have a PhD, so there's so many other things I could have did, but I chose to make sure I had the summers off to be with them and make sure that I was in the school with them to try to be as hands-on as I could. Both of them are very successful. The oldest one is a mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
The youngest one went to school for communications. He actually works for the Porsche show with Fox 5. So.
Yeah.
And growing up, I didn't even want them to really know what Doug did, and I guess a few years ago is when I really found out. He's like,
I've been telling them they whole...
Right, and I never knew that
Right.
he had been, because I wanted them to view their dad in a different way, but I didn't really know he had been having conversations
That's why my
with
boys
them.
respect me now because I told them like the whole way up. Like I told them the things I did and why they didn't need, don't look at money a certain type of way and do anything with it. You know what I'm saying? So I always told them don't sell drugs. I told them some of the horror stories to deter them from doing it too. Like things that I seen in my life, when I was in the streets. So that was definitely deterrent because I still tell them stories now to this day. And they still like, when we get done talking, they just be like, oh my God. So it's still shaking them at the age they at now. I'll say this too, like, even though I try to keep them straight, like my 3, I'm not there with. So I'm not up in Indianapolis and, like it really hit me hard. Like I lost one of my sons, like my second oldest to the streets. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, man, it was so hard because he was back and forth here to Atlanta. He worked in my real estate office. He was in school and everything. So then he got a female pregnant. So he kind of went back to get that all straightened and he was coming back, So when I got word that he was shot and killed, like that was super crazy because he's like one of the most ambitious ones as far as schooling and stuff like that outside of the 2 that we got. So he was like right there with me, you know what I'm saying? He was right there with me. He wanted to do the same things I did. So when I lost him, that kind of that was crazy.
Does that make you kind of want to get in mode to retaliate?
But it's funny, when I first flew down, my uncle picked me up and he was like, and he know I'm was from the streets heavy, and he was like, don't do it. Like, you need to be around for your other kids. Don't do it, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Like in the beginning, I wanted to do something, but then as it went on, it was like I would hear his voice like, Dad, like, no, because then you might end up in jail or you might end up in prison and everything like that. But one of the most shocking things is, like, I don't know what happened, but the dude actually, somebody killed him.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's that thing, like, because it ain't like you couldn't have got the information. You know what I'm saying?
I could have, but it was like, I felt like he would be mad at me for my life for doing that.
Your son.
Yeah, and it's just crazy, like, it was just crazy when I heard the dude, like somebody killed him. For what reason? I don't know what the guy was doing.
He was in jail though.
No, I know he went to prison for killing my son, but for a short period of time. I remember when we went to the sentencing, how many was it, 8 years or 5 years?
It was short.
Yeah, it was short. So I remember walking out like, wow, like,
He got killed when he got out of prison.
Out of prison.
Yeah, so he went to prison, got out, and then somebody killed him.
So two-part question. What did the streets teach you about life? And what did the streets teach you about relationships?
Life, it taught me that life is fragile because I lost a lot of friends, and it'd be like I'm with them right now and they just went to the crib to go to sleep and see me tomorrow and somebody, killed them or whatnot. So it definitely taught me that. What was the second part?
Relationships.
It kind of taught me like the relationships that I had with my friends back then, like I still got the same
No, I'm
friends.
sorry. In regards to your queen.
Oh, my bad. So
Yeah.
answer that. Let me say that again. The second
Because
one.
the one with life, like I kind of,
Okay.
I could take that and build that with your friend. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like
So then you said, as far as what's the second
with
part?
your queen, like this relationship, like
How did the street help?
what did you
they
learn?
teach
Like
you?
what did the streets teach you?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? As far as you two being in a relationship.
It kind of taught me like that you always needed somebody like there for you that really wasn't in the streets. Like it really taught me to really like the people, like your family, and we talking about my wife. It made me just love her even more because she was like real and authentic, and one of the few real things that I had in life versus this other life I had in the streets with just glitz and glamour that really ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that is fugazi. It's all smoke and mirrors, and it just taught me to love the real people. I would say love my wife because she's a real one.
If y'all had a daughter, how would you feel if she followed the same path that you followed? Considering that you have a good, like, you know what I mean? Y'all's situation is different, obviously.
Right.
But if she came home like, Mom, this babe right here, and I already know what you on, but like,
I would not want her to. I would not want her to be associated with anyone in the streets like that, because I look back and like I really had angels around me, because that was dangerous. I mean, anything could have happened to me, and like I said, I was really on my own. So for me, it wasn't like, I'm going with this drug dealer. It was, no, can you help pay for tuition? Can you help pay for books, like a meal? Because I was on my own. Like I said, I was working 3 jobs. So it wasn't about, can you buy me this purse? Can you buy me this, this jewelry? It was about, with
I used to give her bankrolls. She'd bring them back.
Right. But
here, I got a couple things. Here you go.
Right.
You know
but looking back, I mean, I would never want my daughter to.
Me neither.
It seemed like you protected your sons, or at least attempted to protect them from
Absolutely.
it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Had you had your sons before he transitioned out or after he transitioned out?
After. So our oldest one is 25. The youngest one is 22. So this was after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to the earlier part of the conversation, I meant to ask this, like, because of the amount of time and everything else, do you have to set boundaries with each other?
Yes.
In regards
for
to
him.
What does that look like?
The boundary is, if I feel uncomfortable about something, I don't care if it's a client that's getting ready to buy $1 million home. If I feel uncomfortable with the situation and I get a bad, I don't care. And if I get a bad vibe, like, it needs to be cut off, because it's like sometimes I feel like
it was. Let me just say an example. I'm definitely not naive.
Some men are oblivious.
Yes,
I'm not oblivious.
Like, don't you see these little sly remarks and stuff like, girl, do not try me.
It's a female that we literally know who she don't like.
I don't.
For no reason. Right?
I don't.
No
so
reason.
she like, no, I don't want you speaking to her. I don't want you this. And not that we, like, this female used to mess with married men, right?
Yeah, and
that ain't how I know her, like, so it's nothing like that. She's always tried to give me business over the years, right? So it's funny because the last time she do not like this female. And the last time she sent me a referral, like, you remember for the big something.
Brand or something.
It was like, I think $200 or $300 million deal. She just like, here. Call my mom, she got this deal going on, and it was for a couple of $100 million. I'm like, see, babe, this is the same person who you don't want me to, like, even speak to for no reason.
Exactly.
So I be telling her sometimes, like, babe, it ain't nothing going on, like, don't mess the money up.
But for me,
I don't even deal with this girl like that, though. Like, I don't deal with her. I don't deal with this.
It's the vibe, and we saw her.
What kind of vibe is it?
Okay, it's the...
This girl likes her, look up to, appreciate, like she...
Number one, I'm the type of female, I don't care who you are. It could be a family member. You could be my best friend, and I find out you was messing with someone that's married. I'm out. because I like that is one of my on the top of 1 through 10 of things that you don't do as a female. Like I know men, and I don't condone men cheating. Men are gonna do what they want to do, but as a female, like I'm never gonna talk to some man that's married. You know what I'm saying? So I can't even hang with you if I know you running around sleeping with men that are married. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how I would feel if I found out that he was
put
cheating.
Yourself in those
right.
shoes.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's one, I don't respect her for doing that, you know? And then
I got boundaries, but I can't let you run off all the money.
And it's just like it's a vibe that I get. So the last time we saw her, we were out. I think Young Jock was doing something in the park, and we went to support him. And she gonna come up selling something, and I looked at her. I was like, when I don't do you, like you gonna know, like I'm not even gonna be fake about it. Like I don't at all.
Look how she acting now. See that mode she get in.
Feel it. She put herself in the shoes of the person.
Exactly. Yeah. So boundaries.
Respectfully.
Boundaries are important, and it's consequences if you don't follow the boundaries.
See, I follow boundaries because I don't have no get out of jail free cards and none of that.
I'm glad you know it.
I tell all my friends I keep my blinders on.
Because
we got hold it, married men, keep your blinders on.
Because let me tell you what I tell him, and this,
babe.
See, I'll be like, you don't want me single in these ATL streets because you do not want to see it. That's what I always tell him. Keep playing if you want to. You do not want to see it.
Has he ever caused an offense? Have you ever overstepped your bounds?
Yeah. I have, but not crazy. But when you say overstep, I'm like, she was speaking earlier, like some women in the past have asked me to mentor them. I might sit down with them, right? And even in the book, it's in the book. One time,
it's in the book. It's in the book. He went to lunch with a female. It was a business luncheon. Yeah, wipe the brows. Because when I say he was sweating, because I found out and you didn't tell me. Oh, I'm a mini detective, so it's like you cannot.
Mini.
I'm the one, huh?
Big detective, not the little one.
Found the number, called her, and she was really like, I thought you was going to be there because y'all are always together. She was like, it was about business. But for me, it was about you didn't tell me and you lied. So I don't care if y'all was talking about business. Anybody could have saw y'all and been like, oh my God, Doug was out to lunch with a female. And let's flip this. He would have been livid if I went out to lunch with a guy and didn't say nothing to him.
It'd have been over.
See?
So, okay.
See what I'm saying?
And is he able to have lunch with the female as long as he tells you?
If he tells me, it would be different. But now it's a no now. Because see, you messed that opportunity up. You messed the opportunity up. So now it's a hard no.
I'll be like, hey, when would you like to meet with me and my wife?
Absolutely. Sure that's how it's going down now. So see, you messed up that opportunity.
Well, it wasn't an opportunity now. If they get with me, it's immediately like, hey, yeah, me and Blondie can meet you. Matter of fact, go to .org and find out about our mentor program and everything. Like literally.
Right. Exactly.
She got me together. Mm-hmm. Thank you, babe, for the grace.
We know this.
Hey, I just want to say, man, this has been a beautiful conversation. Thank you both for taking the time and being here.
Thank you for having us.
Your story is amazing and powerful.
Right.
Please, RM family and everybody else that sees this, go get this book.
Please.
And whatever else they got going on, go support, because that's what we all about.
Thank you.
And just want to thank y'all, man, for being a great example. You know what I'm saying? And then from the standpoint of like the type of relationship and you transitioning and just all these different things, it lets people know that it is possible.
Right.
And the fact that you stayed down for him and vice versa, and you acknowledging the fact that you wouldn't be like, this is beautiful on so many levels.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
My OG.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Small world.
Small world.
Great to see you again.
Definitely.
And I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
You know what I'm saying? And thank you.
Right.
And I love y'all both. Thank y'all for being a part of the RM family.
Yes.
Definitely.
We appreciate y'all.
You.
Absolutely.
Right.
I just noticed the light skin on one side. Okay.
I know.
But anyway, shout out to my RM family. Until next time.
Yes.
Relationships matter.
relationships matter.